The next article I wanted to talk about is titled, After Weeks of Silence, the Pastor Whose Sexist Sermon Went Viral is Back. You guys remember this guy from this clip, right?
And ladies, here's the thing you need to know about men. Don't give him a reason to be like this distracted boyfriend. You hear me? Don't give him a reason to be looking around. Hello?
You remember that guy? Famous for saying some real questionable shit about women and relationships, giving really questionable relationship advice. Well, he's back. I figured what we'd do is we'd take a look at this clip one more time, then we'll listen to this guy break his silence on the subject. So let's watch this clip.
Looking around. Hello? Why is it so many times that women, after they get married, let themselves go? Why is it? Why do they do that? Now look, I'm not saying every woman can be the epic trophy wife of all time, like Melania Trump.
Okay, that's a really, really weird comparison to make. Pointing out that Melania is like the perfect woman, which is the wife of his spiritual leader, Donald Trump. That's just really, really strange. That's just really fucking odd to me. Why would you even go there? Why would you do that? These people, I don't think they realize how cringy they are, in all seriousness.
Not
In all fairness, I don't think I realize how cringy I am either, so I'm probably fucking really cringy sometimes. I have no idea.
Trump. I'm not saying that at all. Not most.
Look at this shit. The guy had his slides lined up. This is a picture of Melania. He planned out this sermon. This is something that he was ready to go into, right? I mean, that's what it seems like. This wasn't off the cuff. He's got a slide of Melania Trump right here. He must have known he was going to be talking about this day.
Can't be trophy wise, but you know, like her, maybe a participation trophy. I don't know, but all I can say is not everybody looks like that. Amen. Not everybody looks like that. But you don't need to look like a butch either. But you say, how can I do that? Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question.
You hearing this guy? What went through his head to make him think that it was a good idea to say some of the shit that he said? Seriously, how does your mind get there? How did you get to the point where you felt that it was a good idea to talk about not looking like a butch, quote unquote?
I'm so glad you asked that question because you're in my office, you and your husband, and we're talking about your marriage, and you've asked me this question about what can I do about that? All right, if you were sitting in my office, here's the first thing I'd say to you, and boy, I hate to say that, this is why I don't do marital counseling anymore, and that is weight control.
He's talking about being in a marriage counseling situation where he's counseling people on how to improve their marriage, and his answer is weight control. If you're in a situation where your marriage is crumbling, your marriage is completely falling apart, it's not because of weight control. And if it is, you're a piece of shit. If your key complaint about somebody is driving you to break up with them, to divorce them, is weight control, I have a problem with that. Now, there are some levels where I can understand, like health-wise, you know, if somebody is 700, 800 pounds or something like that, it's very detrimental to their health. And you have to be involved in helping them. A lot of medical issues come along with that. That's a different thing. That's not what this guy's talking about right now. This guy is unironically giving the advice that women just need to lose weight to improve their marriages, thus putting the onus on the women. It's their responsibility to keep the relationship going, their responsibility to keep it healthy.
So how important is this? Let me tell you something. I have a friend. He has put a divorce weight on his wife. That's how important this is.
It shouldn't be that important. It should not be like that. If you would put a divorce weight on your wife, maybe you don't deserve the wife in the first place. If you would divorce your wife and tear your family apart, tear your children's lives apart because your wife hits 195 pounds instead of the 180 that she's usually at, you have deeper problems to deal with. That's just fucking wrong. I wanted to give you guys that little reminder of who this guy was. Now, as it turns out, that wasn't his first rodeo. I wondered if that was all off the cuff, if that was just him talking shit one day at church, right? But then I thought to myself, he had this slide of Melania. He had to have this sermon lined up and planned out from the beginning, right? I mean, the slide was in there. He had his whole PowerPoint all set up. Not just that one, but this slide too. This meme, the guy looking back and the girlfriend holding his hand, getting upset and all that. He had this shit planned out. He knew what he was going to say. This is not off the cuff, right? Let's read the article and see what it says. Article is written by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website. Title is After Weeks of Silence, the pastor whose sexist sermon went viral is back. Pastor Stuart Allen Clark of First General Baptist Church in Malden, Missouri, has issued his first public statement in months after becoming the poster child for misogynistic Christian leaders everywhere. Back in February, Clark delivered a sermon saying women needed to lose weight to prevent their husbands from straying, as if it's their fault, and they should emulate Melania Trump, whose husband, by the way, strayed repeatedly, that women don't need to look like a butch, quote unquote, and that a friend of his put a divorce weight on his wife. Those were just some of the lowlights. That clip soon went viral, and Clark's sermon began circulating around the world. Making matters worse, it turned out that it wasn't even a one-time problem. Another sermon excerpt from 2 years ago showed Clark saying many of the same things, including the notion that physical beauty is within the reach of every woman, by which he means skinny and nothing else, and more criticism of women who look like butch, quote unquote. I actually ended up getting my hands on the clip, so let's watch some of it.
Well, man, if I was a woman, I'd want to be beautiful. I think that's what every woman desires to be, is to be beautiful.
What a bizarre clip, what a bizarre, PowerPoint slide to have, right? Man, if I were a woman, I'd want to be beautiful. What a strange clip to put into a PowerPoint.
And I wouldn't want to just be beautiful. I'd want to be hot, that's what I'd want to be. So let me ask you this. I've been wondering this for years. If beautiful women from the South are called Southern Belles, does that mean beautiful women from Mexico are called Taco Bells? I mean, is that what that means?
What's wrong with this guy, honestly?
And I said that to say this. There's not a man alive that doesn't want a beautiful woman on his arm. Or a woman he considers beautiful on his arm. I'm just telling you the truth. That's the way we're hooked up. I'm kind of gender fluid today. I'm going to bounce back and forth, so please be with me. Bear with me.
I'm sorry, you're gender fluid today. I'm bouncing back and forth. What does that mean? What is he even talking about? I don't understand. What's he getting at?
Not a man alive. And so if I was a woman, I wouldn't mind being arm candy. That's okay. I wouldn't mind being a dish or a doll, a babe. I wouldn't mind being all that. I wouldn't mind having an hourglass figure either, like 36, 24, 36. Wouldn't mind being that. I wouldn't mind having a 0 to 4 dress size. That would be something maybe that I would think that's beautiful, but I'd also want to be a natural blonde.
What a scumbag, dude. I'm sorry. The whole point here is that this isn't a new thing. This wasn't off the cuff. The guy has been saying this kind of thing for years. I mean, needless to say, dude is a scumbag. Seriously. What other word can you use for somebody like this? Anyway, let's get back to the article. This is Hemant Mehta speaking. On March 2nd, the deacon ministry team at First General Baptist Church put out an extremely brief statement on their website. It said, Pastor Stuart Allen Clark has taken a leave of absence and is seeking professional counseling. That's interesting. Professional counseling, huh? I couldn't tell you how serious that statement was when they released it. A leave of absence was necessary, sure, but it wouldn't help if Clark held on to those same awful sexist beliefs. It would help if he wasn't in the position of power where he's spreading these shitty ideas to other people from a position of authority. It would help in that situation. Professional counseling was good too, but not if Clark was going to see some faith-based counselor who told him his beliefs were biblically sound but needed to be delivered with more grace. The public was never told who Clark was seeing, what his rehab looked like, or anything else for that matter. In fact, they locked down their entire social media presence. I remember when this happened, because from what I know, I believe that the church that he was a pastor of, I think that he was like the leader of the church. I think he had to answer to like a general conference or something like that. But I feel like I remember reading, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because it very well could be. I feel like I remembered reading that the church leaders had no recourse. It was his choice whether he came or went in that church. I guess the deacon ministry team decided that it was too bad. The press was too bad on this, and they were going to have to force him out no matter what it took, apparently. At least that's what they're saying, whether they actually did or not. Let's keep reading. The public was never told who Clark was seeing, what his rehab looked like, or anything else for that matter. In fact, they locked down their entire social media presence. Their Facebook page was shut down. They stopped streaming any of their services on YouTube. Their archive of past sermons was removed from Vimeo. They made their Twitter account private. Clark disappeared from the internet almost entirely. Even the church's usual hashtags, like IGBMalden, had no hits, suggesting to me that church members were either told not to use them or that the church stopped meeting. Holy shit, that's a big deal. That finally changed last night. I wish I could tell you I know this for reasons that don't involve obsessively checking their social media pages every single day for the past several weeks, because I figured this was coming. For the first time in nearly 6 weeks, there was an update on the church's website featured a statement from Clark and another one from the deacons. The church's Twitter account, still locked down, also includes a new website URL, fgbcmalden.org, instead of igbmalden.org. Both URLs currently go to the same place. So here's Clark's quote-unquote apology, or his response to the social media uproar that came as a result of him acting like a scumbag. Dear church and community, on Sunday, February 21st, 2021, I delivered a sermon about men's needs in a marital relationship. In the sermon, I made insensitive remarks about women and made statements deemed unbiblical. Oh, wow. Unbiblical statements. Okay. To the ladies within the church, ladies in the community, and those viewing our live stream, I want to say I'm deeply sorry for any and all pain or distress that my words brought on you. I want to say to the church that I'm truly sorry that I embarrassed you. I have no one else to blame but myself, and I own the hurt I have caused to both people inside and outside the community. Okay, fascinating. So right now he's addressing the people who put pressure on him, basically. This is who inspired the change in the first place. This is who inspired the apology. The people in the church who were embarrassed by the fact that the church was put in the spotlight and attacked relentlessly. That's what it looks like to me. Since February 28th, I have taken a leave of absence. I am meeting regularly with a professional counselor. I have secured an accountability partner, and we are and will continue to meet regularly. An accountability partner. Isn't that what people have when they have addictions? An accountability partner follows you around everywhere, makes sure you're not using drugs. I don't think talking bad about women is something that you go to rehab for. I think you just need to reevaluate your views. It's not like a heroin addiction. I recognize and understand that what I said was imprudent and discourteous. I sincerely ask for your forgiveness and to be restored as your pastor. I genuinely believe this is the best way forward. Sincerely yours and his, Stuart Allen Clark. Wow. So he was removed from being a pastor completely, and he's trying to get his job back. Fascinating. So it's been 6 weeks or something, I think he said. And now he's asking for his position back. Very interesting. This is Hemant Mehta. It's a start. So much goes unanswered, though. We still don't know what kind of counselor he's seeing. It's not clear if he's apologizing for the way he spoke or the underlying beliefs themselves. We don't know when or if he plans to step into the pulpit again, though he says he hopes to return soon. The deacons are also light on details. This is a quote from the deacons. This is the deacons' response to everything. We, the deacons of the First General Baptist Church of Malden, Missouri, offer this unreserved apology to our congregation, our surrounding communities, our denomination, and the followers of Jesus Christ everywhere. Wow, they honestly realize how serious this was. This really caught fire on social media. As deacons, we became complacent. We accepted God's blessings toward our church as signs of his favor without adequately attending to our responsibility that the complete principles, truths, and love of Christ are presented from our church's pulpit. We bear the blame for not offering our pastor counsel, correction, and restoration when errors or inappropriate content was presented. We are called to model Christ's love through forgiveness and restoration toward our pastor. This is our goal, and we encourage the congregation toward the same love and forgiveness. We should all pray for the unity and harmony of our body, that we could advance the cause of Christ in our own lives, in the life of our congregation, and in the lives we are called to witness in the surrounding communities. Let us all trust Christ that he will accomplish his purposes for the glory of his kingdom. End quote. This is Hemet Mehta speaking again. It's clear that the church's leaders want Clark to return to the pulpit. What they won't say is what Clark did wrong. Again, was the problem his language or his beliefs? Because if those beliefs don't change, this church is still going to have problems in the future. There's absolutely no indication anyone running this place has learned anything over the past 6 weeks. It sounds like they're just hoping the scrutiny has subsided and the public's attention is elsewhere. There's also no acknowledgement from Clark or from the deacons that these problems have been going on for years. So are they half-heartedly apologizing due to all the bad publicity? Of course, because they don't seem to realize they've been allowing this misogyny to represent their church long before they became synonymous with it. For what it's worth, the church's social media accounts are still offline as I write this. It's not clear when Clark will be preaching again, but it could be as soon as this weekend. Portions of this article were published earlier. I have to say, I get the impression from this whole thing, I think the guy doesn't have a job except for pastor. He has no skill set, no value to the community in any way, shape, or form, except as a pastor, which to me means no value at all. I mean, he's not offering a service that offers any good to the public in any form at all, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, he's actively damaging the public. As far as I can tell, it seems like this guy is just trying to get his job back as pastor because he has no other choice. What's he going to do? Work at Starbucks or McDonald's? This is his life. This is his career. And that's exactly why the Clergy Project exists. I don't know if you guys are aware of the Clergy Project, but I think it was started by Richard Dawkins. Now, problems with Richard Dawkins aside, the Clergy Project is something that needs to exist. I'm glad that it exists because I certainly didn't realize until hearing about the Clergy Project that pastors are full-time employees of the church, and like Catholic priests or whatever, they put these people in church housing that's owned by the church. They live in the church house and the church pays their salary to be a pastor. What skill set do they have? What do they do if they stop believing? Nothing. They have no choices left. They have nothing to do. They have to start from zero. Like most people start at low-level, like entry-level jobs in their early to mid-20s, work their way up through their 30s and their 40s, and become skilled laborers with experience. That's usually how the workforce operates. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't always operate that way. And we do have older people in entry-level jobs, and that is a problem that needs to be resolved. But when you're a pastor at, say, 50 years old, I don't know how old this guy is. I'm guessing he's probably in his mid-40s, actually. Say you're 45 years old, and all you've ever done is pastor a church. You have no skills, and this church has provided a standard of living for you. Say you make $3,000 a month working for this church. What is that? 3 times 12 is about $36,000 a year. Respectable, right? It's a respectable income. And on top of that, the church pays for your housing. They put you in church housing. So you don't even have to pay rent or utilities. And it's tax deductible because you're a religious leader. That's decent fucking money. I have to say, that's decent money. What entry-level job are you going to be able to get where you're making that kind of money? None. They don't exist. The entry-level job does not exist. It's going to allow you to maintain your living, your lifestyle. Now, you could take a massive pay cut, get a, cut that in half at least, and you're paying taxes and get an entry-level job working at McDonald's or something in your 40s, mid-40s. Or you could apologize for saying something really fucked up and stupid and humbly request to be restored as the pastor of this church once again. I genuinely believe this is the best way forward, quote unquote. Sincerely yours and his, Stuart Allen Clark. I bet. Of course this is about money. Of course this is about getting your career back. Honestly, can't blame the guy for trying. That's kind of a tough situation he's in. But like I said, being the pastor of a church, in my opinion, is toxic to the core. You are doing active damage to society. This guy specifically is doing active damage to society as acting as a pastor to this church. I hope with everything in me that they don't restore him as pastor, but they probably will.